Good afternoon, Captain Politis. Good afternoon, fellow cadets. I'm Cadet Bell, and today I'll be briefing you on the life of General James H. Doolittle. In my briefing, I will give you an overview of General Doolittle. I will tell you about the Doolittle raid, which took place in the Japanese theater during World War II, and I will provide example of the interpersonal and leadership qualities that General Doolittle possessed. General Doolittle was born 14 December 1896 and lived to be 96 years old. He got his start in the U.S. Army Air Corps as a flight instructor during World War I. He became widely known in the aviation world during this time for his advancement in the navigation systems that airplanes used. He was a family man. Him and his wife Josephine had two boys, both of which went on to become pilots and officers in the United States Air Force. He was awarded the Medal of Honor and served on the committee of many U.S. presidents. The Doolittle raid was in direct retaliation against the Japanese for Pearl Harbor. The objective of the mission was to fly over mainland Japan, drop bombs, and then to land safely in Chinese territory. The morning of 18th April 1942, not 5 months after Pearl Harbor, 16 B-25s took off for their intended target to reach and bomb the Japanese. They experienced a slight setback because they were spotted by Japanese boatcraft and had to take off earlier than anticipated. And due to this, many of the aircraft did not have enough fuel to make it to their intended destination. Despite this setback, 80 of the 80 crew members that took part in this operation were accounted for, 8 being captured and sent to POW camps. This raid helped turn the tide in favor of the U.S. and the Pacific Theater in the fight against the Japanese. General Doolittle possessed many great qualities of a great leader. The first example I'd like to point out is that he was a team builder and a skilled negotiator. Out of the 80 crew members that took part in this mission, 80 of them were volunteers. They all trusted General Doolittle, even though he informed them from the get-go that there was no guarantee of success or survival. They put aside their ego and trusted General Doolittle to complete the mission. He fostered an environment of ingenuity. To complete this mission, he needed those B-25s to be lighter than they normally would so that they could carry more payload and go further to reach their destination. He took advice from all the crew members in the mission, took advice on how he could do this. He also led from the front. He wasn't in an airplane hangar giving signals over the radio on how to complete the mission. He was right there in the fight. He was flying with his comrades, bombing the Japanese, and helping win the war for the U.S. After the war ended, he was appointed director of the Doolittle Board, which served as a liaison for enlisted members and officers to express concerns, and General Doolittle and their staff could send them to appropriate resources and help them find help. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Cole, who flew with General Doolittle during the Doolittle raid, had this to say about General Doolittle. Doolittle set the example, put people at ease, invited questions, and patiently treated people with respect. He was the ideal person to work with. General Doolittle fostered an environment where people felt comfortable enough to ask questions about the mission so that they could work together as a cohesive team to complete the mission. In my briefing, I have told you about the life of General James H. Doolittle. I have briefed you on the effects that the Doolittle raid had in the Pacific Theater during World War II and how it helped turn the tide for the better for the U.S. against the fight against the Japanese. And I briefed you on the leadership style and characteristics that General Doolittle possessed during his time in the Air Force. This concludes my briefing. Are there any questions?